meeting with some Chinese scholars. On the door, some people and some group of children. So they give me this for some sign. Yeah, beautiful. So I was very touched. So I just, short while, I want to keep this in order to also appreciate their sort of genuine friendship. These young children, I feel these young children, their mind not yet spoiled. I think, including myself, the people usually call more sort of experienced people, wise people or experienced people. I think what we got experience is how to cheat other people, how to sort of pretend these, I think, negative things. So these children, really, I think, very, very open mind. They don't care what other people, what is their race, what their religion, what their social background. So long smile there, so long friendship there, they accept it. So I think these people really, I think, still alive, the feeling of humanity. That I think is important. When we grown up, then we losing the importance of humanity, but rather consider importance of my nation, my religion, their religion, like that. And also social background. I think one occasion in India, one official with his family. What? With his family and one young children. The children carry one child. That young child is carried by one meme. Meme.
One nanny. Nanny.
So I shake hand, the officials, his wife. Then also, as my usual, for me, no differences. So I also sit, shaking, my hand used to go like that. But that lady, hesitant to respond. Why? Same human being. Social background, little differences. So these are, I feel, one of the key factors create unnecessary unhappiness among the human society, among the human community. So therefore, I love a scarf with little strange drawing, but come from really innocent, pure, sort of warm-hearted sort of children. Good. So, now, as usual, let me sit more comfortably. Don't consider waste of time. 1 minute, okay. Yes. Now comfortable. It looks comfortable? But don't worry, Dalai Lama sit cross-legged and then going to meditate without talk. Don't worry that. Indeed, I'm very, very happy to be here, and particularly meeting with ordinary people. And also including some Chinese professors, whom we already some discussions. I think at least within this tent, I think we should forget about our feeling, as our religious sort of differences, and also you say, forget. And forget forget, you see, the different races. Yeah, what is wrong? Oh, okay. So this moment, we simply should think, we're just human being. And I wanted to share our professors from China. Please think for a short moment that way. Because I simply, you see, sort of emphasize importance of warm-heartedness. That is something universal value, and everybody needs that. Yeah. No differences on that level. Is it a different race or different religion, different nationality or different position? Doesn't matter. Or poor or rich, no differences. So I myself also, you see, talking here as just a human being, nothing special. So the topic is that.
The topic is values-based leadership and universal responsibility.
As usual, I have no sort of as a prepared text or note. I think firstly, I'm lazy. Not making sort of homework. And I think in some extent, I also can blame to my 4 or 5 hour meditation, isn't it? So no time. Then I think thirdly, I really, I always feel anyone, I do not see any sort of differences. We are same human being. Physically, yes, some are taller, some are much sort of strong body, some are a little bit, you see, smaller, and some cases bigger nose, some cases it's a smaller nose. These are minor differences, but basically we are physically also same. Then, more important, mentally, we are same. I think feeling of I, everybody have the same. And with that feeling, concern about well-being of self. Same. 100% same. And then also emotional level. For benefit to this self, those positive things for that self, we usually have feeling of attachment or closeness feeling. And those things which something uncomfortable towards that self, we usually consider a little bit cautious or a little bit distance. So, same. Everybody, same. Not only we human beings, but also, I think, other sentient beings, animals, obviously animals, like dogs, cats, birds. Physically, big different, but basic feeling of self and desire for happiness, desire to overcome problem or pain, same. So, or I have one serious question that in some cases I ask some professors, some scientists. Recently I was in Oxford as a talk. So in the front line, some professors, some scientists. So I asked them, we have the ability showing appreciation of others' sort of kindness. So animal like dogs, cats also have the same ability. If we show kindness, they also respond. Appreciation. So now that I ask those scholars, as far as my own experience is concerned, mosquito, no ability to show appreciation. So when my mood is good, and also is no danger of malaria, then occasionally I give blood to the mosquito. So then they suck my blood, then their body becomes red, and because of thick red. Then few because of the poor stanche.
Like few bubbles that drop.
Then fly. No sign of appreciation. So I really used to wondering among the sort of insects or animal, which level of brain have the ability to show appreciation of others' kindness? So the professor, no answer. I don't think they are very busy, is it, to carry investigation in such a matter? I don't think. So in any way, so we are same human being. Now, most important now, today's reality. Because of the population, and also because of the, I think, living standard, because of the rising. So therefore, not only nation to nation, but also continent to continent, heavily interdependent. That's today's reality. So according to that fact, I think whole 6 billion human beings, just one entity. And the whole world, this blue planet, is just one. If we go in space, look from there, just one small planet. National boundaries, religious differences, These are nothing significant. Just one. Like that. So, I always believe many problems, man-made problem, basically, I think due to we emphasis too much importance of secondary differences or secondary level. There's religious faith, the different races, different nationalities, like that. So we forget the basic humanity. So if everybody think more sincerely, seriously about oneness of humanity, 6 billion humanity, take care about environment, then certainly man-made problem certainly can reduce. So that's my fundamental belief. Then when I meet some people from different religious traditions, yes, secondary level, there's differences. But the basic level, no differences. So whenever I meet these people, I do not feel any sort of barrier. And therefore, when I talk to people, I just express what my feeling. And also after talk, usually it's a question and answer. And through that way, I also learn some of your experience and some of your most concerned points. So I also get some education through that way. So I always talk completely informal way, just a spontaneous way. So I think Chinese professors, I think usually our sort of talk often you see very well prepared, isn't it? And even in India, that's much easier. I noticed, is it the 1954, 55, I was in Peking. So I had the privilege, you see, to participate the high officials meeting, and then also the Rimintebo Dahui, Rindahui, the People's Congress. Actually, I'm one of the members. Then later, I become one of vice chairman of the People's Congress. So the atmosphere or way of sort of talking there. And then 1956 in India, Buddha Jayanti celebration. I invited to Indian Parliament to look the Indian Parliament, visited. So looks no discipline. Too much noisy. No discipline, someone coming, someone going like that. So then at that time, say, Prime Minister Zhou Enlai and Vice Prime Minister Ho Lung, as he came to Delhi, then I told Zhou Enlai, oh, here, I noticed the people's the way of talking is something different than in Peking. Then Zhou Enlai told me, since your visit in Peking, now things much improve. He told me like that. So when I talk, completely informal, like that. So if some people feel this is too much sort of informal, frank discussion, and if someone is feel a little inconvenience, then I would like to apologize. I think generally American I think this is my sort of habit. I think seems fit. In England, sometimes a little difficult. At the initially, then after a few minutes, these English reserved people were, like that. You see, they also then join, then join with more relaxed way. So like that. One day, hopefully, in Peking, I may have opportunity to create that kind of relaxed atmosphere. So, thank you. Now that, since my first visit outside India, that was 1973. First visit Europe, many countries. First visit to the West. I talk the sense of global responsibility. Because I'm Buddhist, I train sort of what's a division within people. It's not important. The important is think, entire sentient being, then human being, naturally. So therefore, the sense of global responsibility, I felt, is something important. And also, actually, I very much attracted the Marxist sort of view or ideology, talking international sort of what's today, working class people, no national boundary. Goji Tui. First, I very much attracted about that. Because while I was in China proper, I got lesson about Marxism, about history of Chinese revolution, like that. So very, very, very useful. So since then, it is not secret, well known. I think many old sort of people, acquainted people, I think already know. I always describe myself as a Marxist, as far as social economy theory is concerned. And meantime, I totally sort of against or disagree the totalitarian, rigid system. That's not good. But Marxism, thinking about the well-being of the working class people, that means needy people, less privileged, and also majority of the people. So who exploited by richer or elite, the community elite were. So it is really, and the view about Marxist economy, there is the moral sort of moral principle. You see, not just thinking about the profit, but rather equal distribution. So these are the moral principle. Whereas capitalism is no such sort of, generally, no such a concept. So therefore, I prefer Marxist socialist ideology is good. So I think I can describe more precise, I think, liberal, democratic, socialist, like that. So I want to tease. You see, my Chinese professor, you see, today sometimes I feel my brain could be more red than Chinese leaders. Chinese leaders is just concerned about money or economy. and don't care about the gap rich and poor and the immense corruption. During Mao's time, of course, practical level, sometimes leftist sort of, how should I say, radical sort of policy, that's of course very sad, very unfortunate. But as far as ideology is concerned, very pure. At that time, many good Communist Party members really dedicated whole their life for service to the people, not thinking one's own pocket. Now that kind of spirit now lost. It's difficult, very sad, very sad. So in any way, that's not your business. So now we really need the sense of global responsibility. That's, I think, very important. Firstly, in the economy itself, now global economy, heavily interdependent. Then environment issue. An environment issue is the issue of entire 6 billion human beings issue, not one this nation or that nation's issue. And to tackle these, we have to look because a holistic way. You simply, taking care of your own economy and don't care other. It's a reality. Eventually, you will suffer. So, according to the new reality, the very concept of we and they is no longer there. We must, because of that, we must look entire human being, entire world, as part of yourself. You have to take care. So therefore, the global sense of global responsibility on the basis of recognition, clear sort of awareness, oneness of humanity. That's important. Therefore, the concept of war, I always sharing with people, concept of war is outdated. Why? War, that concept happen or start, and to some extent, some cases it worked, where the interest of one group and interest of other group separate, independent. Then the destruction of that group is victory of this group. So therefore, now today, this group's interest entirely depend on that group. That group's interest also depend on this group. So under that reality, according to that reality, destruction of your neighbor is destruction of yourself. So, you see, they using force, destroy so-called your enemy is outdated. So enemy, different views, different interests, therefore we call enemy, but still part of yourself. Therefore, out of respect, out of sort of genuine concern of their well-being, then we have to find ways and means to reduce conflict. So that's a dialogue. So I often, you see, sharing with people, the 20th century become like century of bloodshed. Millions, how many millions of human beings killed during 20th century? Hundreds, I think almost 100, like that, and including civil war. So these are very, very unfortunate. So therefore, now out of our past experience, now we have to look, this century should be century of dialogue. Whenever we face some disagreement, some different interest or conflict, we have to find ways and means to solve that through dialogue, through talk. Keep in your mind their interest and respect their future. So that's the only way. So let us try to build certain sort of concept in our mind. Now this century should be century of dialogue. For that, now the military establishment very much connected. Where war concept there, then military preparation, military also establishment is necessary. When the reality is such, now no longer also the possibility or also the logical to use force. And then military establishment, then outdated. So my German friend, one professor, one time expressed, now different country, different government, no need defense ministry. Oh, wonderful. No need different ministry or external ministry, foreign ministry. Because you have to consider your neighbor not foreign, but part of yourself. And with that, now, no longer any sort of use force. So defense, not necessary. I think that kind of sort of vision, that kind of view is, I think, very, very good, very good. So therefore, of course, overnight achieve the demilitarized world is impossible. But we should have blueprint in our mind, a vision, demilitarized world. Then, step by step. Firstly, I think one time the Chinese government suggested total ban of nuclear weapon. Wonderful. In case it not having total ban, then some nation keep nuclear power. It's undemocratic. So therefore, like I think the suggestion one time many years ago, this is someone's suggestion from the Chinese government, I think total ban, that's I think very, very important. So go that way, step by step. And then also, another sort of thing, I often used to mention the Franco-German unified force. That also, I think, very, very good start. So hopefully, in Northern America, including Mexico, and eventually Central America and South America, I think at least this continent, these two continents, eventually create unified force. Then, and meantime, in Europe, all the member states of European Union eventually create unified force. Then no danger. Violence and large scale within the state, member state. So with that, I think I mentioned yesterday as well, NATO headquarters policy. I think yesterday I also mentioned, actually in the European Parliament, the Foreign Affairs Committee, one time I talked, so there also I mentioned eventually the NATO headquarters should move to Moscow. Well, the Russia must bring into the world, the European community. Remain distance with suspicion, distrust, nobody's interest. So here, I think West, I think, should make more effort. If you expect some very, very positive sort of attitude from Russia, that's, I think, unrealistic. Because my first visit Soviet Union, 1979, there, so I felt the Russian or people of Soviet Union, some kind of brainwash, the West ready to attack on Soviet Union. So their readiness to response. I think the totalitarian, in some extent, in Chinese case also, now the Chinese propaganda mission, you see, create impression, Western anti-Chinese forces, they are very much active. And Tibet refugee community, myself also become instrument of the Western anti-Chinese forces. I don't think that's reality. Maybe during the Vietnam War or Korean War, maybe some strong negative feeling. But now I don't think no longer that kind of sort of feeling. But sometimes you see the totalitarian regime, I think with certain reasons, you see, create that kind of impression. So therefore, the Russians there, of course, the things much changed, but still seems the ordinary Russians still have certain sort of the suspicion towards West. So these are the, I think, in order to develop genuine world peace, genuine harmonious humanity, harmonious world, which President Wu Jintao emphasizes, promotion of harmony, of course, first within the country, then the positive relation in the spirit of harmonious sort of community, extend relation with neighbors, neighbor countries. It's excellent. So therefore, I think obstacle for that is distrust, suspicion, fear. So of course, I have no sort of direct responsibility, but I think West should extend, reach out to former Eastern European countries, and particularly Russia. I think important. So in any way, we have to develop some kind of blueprint in our mind. Eventually, our world should be demilitarized. So, in order to develop that, we need, usually I call, inner disarmament. So, these are the way development of global responsibility. Now leadership. I think real change bring new world, ultimately entirely depend on people like you. And I think peace, for example, peace must come through inner peace. So inner peace must develop in the family. In the family also, inner peace first start one individual. Then initiative by one individual create genuine inner peace in the family. Then in the community, like that. So ultimately, ourselves. we individuals are the key things, right? Key things. Inner peace cannot bring by government regulation or government law. Inner peace must develop within individuals' mind. However, the leadership also is some important, I think, also the factor. So the leadership, I think most important, as I mentioned earlier, I think the, again, sense of global responsibility. And then, particular sort of, I think, quality of leadership is honest. I think yesterday also I mentioned, right? I think honesty is very, very essential. Then truthful, transparent, openness. In the democratic country, in the open society, now the trust, transparency, these are there. Very good. So I often used to telling, the media people should have long nose, as long as elephant nose. Then, should smell front. Of course, usually in the front, everybody should try to nice, isn't it? Then, therefore, it is very, very important to smell behind. What is there? That's very, very important. So the media people, I think, should make clear what is going on among the politicians, among the religious leaders, among the business, among the scientists, every field, among the doctors, every field, hospital, I think every field. I think what is really happening, that must inform to the public clearly, openly. That's, I think, very, very important in order to build healthy society, in order to build sort of these organizations, including leadership, healthy leadership. I think that's very, very important. Totalitarian regimes, it is lacking now. So that's why stingy people always find opportunity making pocket, that called corruption. It is sad. It's really sad. So, provided the media people should be, again, honest, truthful, unbiased. That's important. So the transparency, I think very, very important. Then leadership, one, I think, important quality, vision. Not only think next election, but think long term. I think that's very, very important. I think a democratic country, I think quite good. And still, I think they're more transparent, more honest, truthful. These are, I think, important. Of course, according to my limited knowledge or limited experience out of observing. So these are, I feel, important. So I think now covered that topic. So now some questions. Oh yes. Very good.
We got the questions beforehand from people in the audience. If you are in the tent, and I'm going to read your question, perhaps you could stand so His Holiness could see who you are. The first one from Mary Lynn Lackner. Are you in here? Okay, so this is from Mary Lynn, who's up there, Your Holiness. Mary Lynn's question is, why is the act of compassion so difficult to practice? I find it easier to be compassionate to my dog and complete strangers than to family members, neighbors, and colleagues.
So the cover is there. I think that's a very practical question. There is sort of, or say, there's saying, the me shesh mislove. So the two just that the social motion is the
There's a Tibetan saying which says that human beings quarrel about human beings. So in the case of individuals, it's often your own immediate family members that you fight with.
So it's towards those sort of animals or those unknown human beings, you can suppose sort of compassion, but actually no relevant. So those people who really, you see, day-to-day life, some kind of acquaintance, some disagreement, some sort of what's the argument, then you see develop the suspicion, hatred, anger, jealousy, like that. So it is quite reality. Now here I wanted to share. What is compassion? Not something feeling of pityness. That's not compassion. Compassion, the one element is respect, others' right. Then compassion, basically there are two levels. One level of compassion is the product of biology, because we need affection for our survival. One example, those mammals, including human beings, their offspring, for survival of these offspring, entirely depend on the care of other, particularly mother. So that's a fact. So every human action motivated by motivation, or move by motivation. So here, affection comes. Affection towards one's child. So the tremendous sort of energy taking care of the child then come. Without that affection, that effort will not come. Without that effort, the child will not survive. So that is the biological sort of law. But now that affection, that compassion is limited, biased, much depend on the action or attitude rather than person or the being. So that biased, limited, mainly biological factor. Now take that affection, take that sort of compassion as a seed. Then through training, through reasoning, we can develop that sort of feeling of, say, concern or feeling of sort of closeness towards other. Now, through reason, that can further increase, extend. Then that not based on others' attitude, but rather being the person or the sentient being. So then different now. If your sense of concern based on attitude, then that kind of concern cannot extend towards your enemy or stranger. But the second level of compassion, through training, through reasoning, not focus on attitude, but focus on the being or the self or the person, then that sense of concern can reach towards your enemy. Enemy, as far as attitude is concerned, enemy, but still they are part of the, for example, the human case, part of the humanity, direct or indirect, is my own interest related with them. Therefore, I have to take care of their interest. I have to respect their interest. So that compassion through reason, with help of wisdom, with help of reason, that compassion then become unbiased. Through that way, infinite compassion can develop. So you need more training using reason. And then also, now here another sort of, I think the point is attachment. Of course, the attachment, meaning of attachment, I think they are again broad level and more because of the particular level. So usually our attachment means towards your close friend. That attachment is actually obstacle of that infinite compassion. So first, detach from your close friend, and then develop a sense of concern. First, oneself, then extend your immediate families, then further your neighbor, then including your enemy. That's possible through training. We have this marvelous brain. We have the ability to utilize reasons. And facts there. Those people who are more compassionate, they are much happier. They are physical also much better. Now, according to the scientist, medical scientist, more compassionate sort of person, their brain function is better. Their immune system also can retain. Constant fear, constant anger, hatred, actually, one scientist told me, eating our immune system. So therefore, for your own physical well-being, besides well-being of mental peace, even physical well-being, the compassion, practice of compassion is immense benefit. Everybody used to spend, I think, a lot of money for medication, isn't it? No. And also, I think people used to spend for tranquilizer and also sleeping pill. If those people who have inner peace, no need tranquilizer, no need sleeping pill, and digestion, and well sleep, sufficient sleep, right? And even you see some troubles happen, it disturbs certain level of your mind, but basically your mind still can keep calm. So all these things very much related with compassion. So therefore, your experience is difficult to develop compassion towards your immediate or your friend or these things. It is very true, very true. I also, you see, occasionally, you see, lose my temper. Not, you see, the unknown person, but the surrounded sort of people, including some staff member, if they did some little mistake, then sometimes I lost my temper. So it is reality. Okay, isn't it? So it should not discourage. We all have, you see, same potential like that. Good. Second question now.
Second question. Second question is from Kitty Boone. Kitty, are you here? Okay. And Kitty's question is there such a thing as evil in the world? And if so, how do we combat it?
가자. Evil for temporary, yes, someone who really engage a lot of harmful to other, as we can call evil person. But evil sort of permanent way. Some kind of absolute, no. From the Buddhist viewpoint, no such things. Because it's a Buddhist concept. Now I think among the different religious traditions, of course, this is one of my lifelong commitment, the promotion of religious harmony. So now, in order to carry effort to promote religious harmony, we should know the differences of these traditions. So sometimes, the interfaith sort of service, exchange nice words and always emphasis on the part of the similarity or sameness, and not talking about differences. I think that's not a healthy way. I always do all the differences make clear. In spite that, all carry same message and all have same potential. A different approach is necessary because of different mental disposition among the human being. Then, the different philosophy, different concept, then cannot be factor to divide. So here, among the tradition, religious tradition, basically theistic religion, non-theistic religion, two categories. So among the non-theistic, Jainism, one ancient Indian tradition, non-Buddhist tradition, and then Buddhism. Mainly, these two traditions are non-theistic. So non-theistic's view is law of causality. Things, due to its own causes and conditions, and also to present the environment or conditions. So therefore, due to certain causes and conditions, very nice person also sometimes can be very wicked, can become wicked. On the other hand, one very wicked person, due to certain factor, can be very nice person. So there is no absolute. Always, possible change, because its existence entirely depends on other factor, not absolutely. So that's the Buddhist way of thinking. So therefore, evil, something permanent, something never changing, Buddhists do not accept. Clear? Yes? I think, it is not necessary to stand up.
No?
A questioner, not necessary to stand up.
Okay, just so you know who they are.
That's also very, very kind, very good. But sometimes I experience, some question a little bit shy. So they no hesitate to put question, but to show face, sometimes maybe little difficulties. So,
the next question I have is from Susan O'Neill. Don't stand, Susan. Your Holiness, we are deeply honored by your visit to Aspen, and we thank you for sharing your time and wisdom with us. Although Aspen is a magnificent place with tremendous natural beauty, the tendency of the local population is to be cantankerous and argumentative. How is it possible to change the temperament and behavior of an entire town using your wisdom regarding harmony and peacefulness?
I don't know. Some point, which I believe, that I already share, some of them I already share with you. Then I'm leaving tonight. So things entirely depend on you. You have to manage, to create more harmonious society, more happier society, and a little sort of conflict should solve through friendly way. So your responsibility, not my responsibility. Yes. Yes?
All right, the next question is from Tom Pritzker. On your comment before about socialism, the strength of Marxism is even distribution. The strength of capitalism is more production of important goods. How do you choose between these?
I think a capitalist country, I think unlike 18th century, 19th century, early part of 20th century, regulation, and also I think rule of law, I think much improved. When Karl Marx invented their theory, a condition of the worker at that time in Europe, I think now much different. I think much changed. So therefore, the same word, capitalism, I think the reality, I think much changed. So meantime, I think one important thing I want to share, that is gap rich and poor. In this country, the richest country, I think the highest sort of consuming energy like that, or oil. But within this country, one time in Washington, one public sort of meeting, I shared because of the richest country's capital, Washington. Here also, the suburbs are. The pockets in Washington, poor people, particularly the African Americans, they are very poor. So sometimes I had the opportunity meeting some of the the African native about their sort of life. Then their condition seems difficult, very poor. So this is a gap. not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem, more gap. And the poorer section of the people, jealousy, frustration, and resentment, that transform violence or anger, violence. Then whole society, whole community, sort of not peaceful or unsafe. So, we, at global level, the gap rich and poor, and national level also rich and poor. I think we have to address this problem very, very seriously. So one time in India, one wealthy family came to see me and asked me some kind of blessing. Then I told them, I have nothing to bless, nothing. Blessing must come from within, from the Buddhist viewpoint. And then also, I told them, you have the source of blessing. You are a wealthy family. Now, part of your money should spend to, help in the form of education, mainly education, not just giving money, but education and training and health to those in Bombay area. What a slums are slums. Many poor people there. So make contribution and start some work there. It's the real source of blessing. Then you get real blessing. I told them. I told that family. So many occasions, whenever this subject used to come, I always used to sharing. Now the poorer section, people, instead of frustration, work hard. Put the effort for education, training, and with self-confidence. The richer side provide equipment, facilities. So that's the way to reduce this gap. Not some of the socialist sort of reforms or what they practice that sometimes create a lot of difficulties, a lot of hatred among the people. But through compassionate way, through sense of community, no, and sharing, from the richer side, compassionate way, help them, provide them material, and through that way, provide self-confidence. And on their side, more hard work with self-confidence. So that's, I think, very, very important. So now system, not much sort of, important. Now, for example, China, people go to China, still a socialist country, but rich and poor gap, immense. And the coastal area, now, wealthy families, many stories, like that. And the interior way.
Within the inner part of the
still, there's many poor women there. So therefore, the system, still socialist system. And Chinese government always proud to say we are socialist, but the reality, no. But one my friend, really Nobel laureate person, and very, I do not want to mention his name, but very well-respected sort of person. And he also, usually used to have great sort of admiration about People's Republic of China. Now, recently I met, one occasion, and I asked about the People's Republic of China. He's socialist. So then he told me, China no longer socialist, but capitalist, totalitarian and capitalist. He mentioned like that. I think it is very true. So therefore, sometimes I jokingly used to telling people, now today, People's Republic of China is something very, very wonderful. That is Communist Party, led by Communist Party without a communist ideology. So like that. So the system on paper, not much important. Important is society, people, yourself. You should act according to the oneness of humanity and sense of global responsibility, sense of community. That's important. Last question now.
Last question, and it's a good one to end on, especially given our guests in the audience. This is from Steve Schrader. Following the recent unrest in Tibet, the Chinese government has portrayed you as a villain and a wolf in monk's clothing. It has painted you as a bad person through their propaganda to the Chinese people. If you had an opportunity, Your Holiness, to broadcast a message to the Chinese people, what would you say to them?
Now, the Chinese propaganda demonized me when I was in Italy last year. I think last year. Is it that came? So you see, some reporter asked me, "What is your comment, your reaction?" Then I told, with my the Italian friend also is there, including some Italian communist. So together. So then I told, it doesn't matter. Now one demon now create more demons. Then some of the Italian communists, even as a communist, they mentioned, we are happy become demon with you. But you see, I think it is more serious. You see, no problem. I'm Buddhist monk. I'm practitioner. Whatever people call, some people, some Chinese leaders call me as a demon or wolf with Buddhist robe. These are nonsense. And some people describe me as a living Buddha, God King. Nonsense. The truth is just a simple Buddhist monk. So there is a reason to call myself as a simple Buddhist monk. Number one, 2,500 years ago, around I think 2,600 years ago, you see, when Buddha created Buddhist monk, monastic order, there are no exception, Dalai Lama or High Lama. All monks should carry 253 precepts. No exception for Dalai Lama, isn't it? So I'm just another sort of monk. So simple Buddhist monk. Our possession limited. Buddha make very clear, this amount, this amount, you can keep with the feeling, mind. The rest, now for example, extra sort of lower garment, have to keep with the feeling, this belongs to other. 탁배겠죠, 코야겠죠. 심도 퇴봐. 심도 퇴봐
If you
좀.
have a spare set of robes, the monk is supposed to own it provisionally with the understanding that if someone else needs it, I have to part from it.
So at that time, no watch. So I think perhaps I can keep this watch as a mine. There is sort of 13 articles.
Three articles.
13.
13 articles.
서야지 주숨. 서야지 주숨.
So these 13 articles are listed as articles that are necessary for the day-to-day survival of a monk.
So therefore, theoretically and practically also, the monk, Buddhist monk, something like bear, kaza, pangu, beka. Just to ask with the ball, maybe sometimes quite a big ball, ask food, no kitchen. So it is really simple life. So because of these background, I describe myself as a simple Buddhist monk. And secondly, I always mention monk, simple Buddhist monk, no less, no more. Why? Nobody can take my Buddhist monkhood. Monkhood. Till I keep my precept, nobody can change that. Even the Chinese describe as a demon, still I am Buddhist monk. Some other people call me living Buddha, still I am a simple Buddhist monk. Isn't it? Like that. So therefore, and also in my dream, quite often in my dream, I remember I'm Buddhist monk. Never dreamed I'm Dalai Lama in my dream. So, monkhood, more closer.
Closer to my identity.
Like that. And then also, consider myself as a simple Buddhist monk. Then no need pretension there. Oh, formality. If too much formality, too much pretension, extra burden. No use. Isn't it? Like that. Because I think so therefore, if there is sort of, what's the way or opportunity to send a message to the Chinese? Firstly, I actually, you see, since 10th March, several sort of appealed to Chinese public, inside as well as outside. Then also they appeal to Tibetan people, inside as well as outside. And also the Chinese Buddhist. 3 appeals I made, but cannot reach to the concerned people because of censorship. In these sort of appeal I mentioned, we are not anti-Chinese. We are not opposing Olympic. In fact, right from the beginning, I fully support Olympic Games. And we are not seeking separation. For our own interest, remain within the People's Republic of China. We get greater benefit as far as material development is concerned, provided Chinese government should accept the Tibetan unique cultural heritage as well as Buddhism and so on, like that. The Chinese constitution itself. So Chinese, the constitution of the People's Republic of China also provided these rights, but not implemented. In early period, when Chairman Mao there, I think I want to share some of our professors here. The one occasion, one meeting, Chairman Mao just my next. He always keep me just behind, next to him. So, one important meeting. the Chairman Mao asked the officials or the people who attended to that meeting about criticism like that. So then Chairman Mao mentioned his own village. Some villager wrote a letter to him about unjustly doing some officials on his sort of native area. He mentioned. So there are wrongdoing. We must inform all these things, he mentioned. Then he turned to me, you Tibetan, at the moment, in the past, you very powerful sort of community. Now you become weak. So we Han people came to help you. After 20 years, when you develop, we will withdraw. Chairman Mao himself told me. Then one occasion, on long table, Chairman Mao there, I here, and two generals, Fan Ming and Tang Hua, there. I think Tang Hua. Oh, not Tang Hua. Maybe Tang Jingwu. So then Chairman Mao pointed to these two generals. I sent these generals to Tibet in order to help you. If these generals behave not well, not go along with your desire, then let me know, I will withdraw. He mentioned like that. Then also one time, Chairman Mao asked me, inquiring about the Tibetan flag. Then I answered, with little hesitation, I answered, yes, we have flag. Then Chairman Mao, it is very important to keep your flag beside national flag. So sometimes I often you see telling those who see friends who keep Tibetan flag, that the Chinese missions always consider this is Kasoda, splittist sort of movement. But a few occasions I mentioned, I already got a permission to keep this flag from Chairman Mao himself. So, and then Chairman Mao always stress Tibet liberated through peaceful means, through agreement. Even late 56, when Chuale in Delhi, he told me as well as told the Indian Prime Minister, the central government do not consider Tibet like any other Chinese provinces. The central government consider Tibet case as something very special case. Then eventually, nothing happened. So that's the problem. So I want, to know more as a now 73-year-old person. Quite a number of experience. So I want to make clear to the Chinese people or Chinese leaders, but there's no other way, but there's no way to make known these things. Then finally, the denouncement from the Chinese government. Absolutely right, no problem. For me, no problem. But it is problem, the forcing on Tibetan, denounce Dalai Lama. That's something. Firstly, human rights violation. Secondly, violation of religious freedom. And actually, through that kind of movement, pushing Tibetan away. So that actually I think, spiritist movement. Truly. Harmony, unity must come from heart, based on trust, mutual respect. By force, physically, maybe remain like that, but mentally remain distance, more resentment. So I fully agree the building of harmonious society, excellent. I sometimes call the Wu Jintao a tongzhimen, comrade, real sense, very good. But then the stability, unity, harmonious society must come from heart, from mind, not under gun. So, forcing denounce the Tibetan, I think that's I really feel a little sad. Then another thing, the Chinese government sort of propaganda demonized me. Absolutely all right, no problem. If they used to feel happy to denounce me, and instead of divert Tibetan problem, absolutely all right, no problem. But then, innocent Chinese people, particularly those Buddhists, no other way to get the reality, the information of the reality. Then millions of these Chinese Buddhists really feel Dalai Lama is so bad. And I feel a little sad because my lifelong commitment to serve, to make contribution regarding promotion of human value, I always think about Chinese people. But now the Chinese government, you see, close that possibility. So that I feel a little sad. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.